In a cozy cottage nestled in the woods, there lived a cat named Whiskers. Whiskers was no ordinary cat. His sleek black fur, white-tipped tail, and twinkling green eyes made him look as though he carried secrets from ancient times. Whiskers loved lounging by the fire, chasing leaves outside, and occasionally catching a mouse or two. But deep down, Whiskers had always been a little bored, yearning for an adventure. One rainy afternoon, Whiskers heard a faint, squeaky voice coming from the kitchen. Curiosity sparked. He padded softly across the floor, his eyes catching a glimpse of a small grey mouse with the shiniest coat he'd ever seen. But there was something odd about this mouse, something magical. "Hello there, Whiskers," the mouse said, tipping a tiny hat that seemed to appear out of nowhere. "I'm Milton, the magical mouse. I've heard you're a curious fellow." Whiskers tilted his head, his whiskers twitching in excitement. A talking mouse with a tiny hat. Now this was interesting. "What brings you here, Milton?" Whiskers asked, keeping his claws sheathed. This mouse didn't seem like one he'd want to chase. Milton gave a little chuckle. "I'm here to offer you a once-in-a-lifetime adventure. But first, we'll need to leave the cottage and head into the forest. Do you trust me?" Whiskers hesitated for only a moment. His curiosity was too strong, and the thought of a magical adventure was irresistible. "Lead the way, Milton." As they ventured into the forest, Milton whispered a few magical words, and to Whiskers' amazement, the trees around them shimmered and began to glow with a soft golden light. The flowers bloomed in brilliant colors, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of honey and roses. Whiskers felt a sense of wonder like he'd never felt before. "Where are we going?" Whiskers asked, his paws stepping lightly as if he were in a dream. "To the heart of the forest," Milton replied, "where the Great Crystal of Enchantment lies. It has the power to grant any wish, but it's protected by challenges only the brave and clever can overcome." The mention of the Great Crystal made Whiskers' heart pound. As they traveled deeper into the forest, they soon encountered their first challenge, a tall stone wall with strange symbols glowing on it. Milton squeaked, "These symbols are a riddle. To pass, you must solve it." Whiskers studied the symbols, his eyes narrowing as he thought. "It says, what runs but never tires, has a bed but never sleeps, and has a mouth but never speaks." After a moment of pondering, he whispered, "It's a river." As soon as Whiskers said the word, the stone wall shimmered and opened up, revealing a path lined with twinkling lights. Milton nodded approvingly, his eyes sparkling. "Well done, Whiskers. You truly have the heart of an adventurer." They continued their journey, and soon they reached a bridge guarded by an owl with wise, piercing eyes. "Only those with pure intentions may cross," the owl hooted. "What brings you here, Whiskers?" Whiskers answered honestly, "I seek adventure, and I want to experience the magic of the world beyond my cozy cottage." The owl seemed pleased with Whiskers' response and allowed them to pass. The bridge swayed slightly, but Whiskers trotted across with Milton on his back, determined to reach the Great Crystal. Finally, they arrived at a small clearing. In the center stood the Great Crystal of Enchantment, radiating a beautiful, warm glow. Whiskers' eyes widened as he approached, mesmerized by its beauty. Milton spoke softly, "Whiskers, the crystal will grant you one wish. What is it that you desire?" Whiskers thought deeply. He could wish for anything: endless food, a life without worry, or perhaps even magical powers of his own. But then he remembered his friends in the cottage, the warm hearth, and the quiet, peaceful life he loved. "I wish to keep this feeling of wonder and adventure, to carry a bit of magic with me every day," Whiskers finally said. "So I can share it with others and make our lives a little brighter." The Great Crystal began to glow even brighter, and as it did, Whiskers felt a warmth spread through him. When the light faded, he noticed a small, twinkling star now shimmered at the end of his white-tipped tail. Milton smiled. That star will remind you of this journey and the magic that lives in every day. With his heart full, Whiskers and Milton made their way back to the cottage. When they arrived, Whiskers felt different, as though a piece of the magical forest still lingered with him. He could feel it in the cool night breeze and hear it in the rustling leaves. From that day on, Whiskers shared his stories of adventure with his fellow animals, bringing joy and wonder to the quiet life of the cottage. And every time he looked at the little star on his tail, he knew that magic was never far away, it was always there, waiting in the heart of the curious.